tonight's Wales at 6. School's out and there are hungry mouths to feed. Families say they're juggling their finances to make ends meet.
Activities, if I want to take the 4 of them to the cinema, you're talking 40 quid before you've even bought anything. So yeah, it's everything, like financially, it costs, food it costs, activities it costs.
Also on the programme, it's tough at the top. After a year in office, what impact has First Minister Eluned Morgan made?
Whether she does any good, I really couldn't say.
Don't really know what they're doing down there in the Welsh Assembly most of the time.
First Minister?
Are you?
No, I'm not.
Plus, join me live on the mice as it's the turn of the Welsh learners to show off their skills.
And friends to the rescue. When Jane couldn't manage her animal sanctuary, she was touched by human kindness. Hello, good evening. The summer holidays should be a time for families to relax and enjoy themselves. But some have told us that with schools out, they're struggling to provide the extra meals. It means some families are relying on already busy food banks to put food on the table. As Isa Farfur reports, there's not always holiday joy for hundreds of Welsh school children.
Barrett, you ready? Inside 3. Woo!
Summer holidays, a time meant for fun, freedom and family. But for many in Wales, it's becoming a season of stress. The rising cost of living means activities to keep children busy can feel out of reach. And for some families, even putting food on the table is a challenge.
I got 4 kids, so you can imagine how much they eat. Activities, if I want to take the 4 of them to the cinema, you're talking 40 quid before you've even bought anything. So yeah, it's everything, like financially, it costs, food it costs, activities it costs. So it's good to have free events for the children.
Yeah, so usually kind of when they're in school, you have your budget, but it all goes out the window over the school holidays. So they have, so many snacks. You need to keep them busy, keep them entertained. There's so many days out, and it really adds up. It really does.
And this is why organizations like Boomerang are stepping in, offering free local activities to ease the pressure.
So what we're doing here is we're playing with Orbeez and I'm having loads of fun. We have a break from school.
And are you being naughty here or you are behaving?
Yeah, naughty.
Naughty?
I love the school holidays because I like to play with my friends.
So many families are struggling during the summer holidays, relying on food banks. Why cost-free events like this are very important?
Because obviously with the current state of affairs where obviously the cost of living crisis, people have got no money at the moment. We don't want play to be one of those things that are cut. So just getting all the community groups together, just making sure we can give children free play is really important. So Sarah in the community have put it together today, and then we've just got all the other groups to make sure there's lots of different things for lots of different age groups for children to do.
OK, we've got a few packs to pack today to get.
But as demand rises for support, so too does the pressure on food banks.
Well, when we have people coming in to see us, coming in for the food parcels, and you see a broken person, a broken family, desperate, not knowing where to turn, and then they come to us and they receive the food without judgment, with compassion, and they leave the centres completely different to how they come in. That's why these places are they're so important.
This year alone, Trussell Trust food banks have handed out almost 172,000 emergency food parcels, and 60,000 of those were for children. And the need is growing. Since 2019, there has been a 19% rise in parcels going to families with children. And the charity says over 420,000 people in Wales are now facing hunger and hardship.
I don't have to worry about where my next meal comes from, but I know lots of people do. So I think that's how I can help.
I've been here 3 years now and I've seen some very sad cases.
It's a good feeling. It's giving back. It's a realisation also it can happen to anyone.
But for now, moments of joy like these offer some light in a difficult time. But with many families struggling each year, many say lasting change is urgently needed. Isa Farfur, ITV News.
Elsewhere tonight, fewer than a third of recently qualified paramedics were initially offered jobs by the Welsh Ambulance Service this year. That's despite many of those graduating having their training paid for by the Welsh NHS. With the health service currently under consistent pressure, the Liberal Democrats have branded the situation a scandal. Well, for more on this, we can now speak to Liam McConkey. Liam, what more do we know about these jobs then?
Good evening, John. Well, those who trained to be a paramedic recently would naturally think that they would get a job at the end of it. And of the figures, 67 paramedic graduates in Wales this year, and only 20 of them immediately secured that role. Now, the 47 remaining who are fully trained as paramedics were without a job, and the Welsh Liberal Democrats have said that it's shocking, especially with current ambulance waiting times.
I think it is really disappointing. You know, I know that that students are disappointed about that, but I think also, you know, there's an opportunity for the Welsh Government to step in and give the support that paramedics are looking for. If you look at recent ambulance response times, 50% of red calls are not being met. So it's clear that we've got a problem and we need paramedics to have to have people being trained and then not have a space for them. I think is really damning about the planning that is going on between getting these roles and then training the people over a 3-year period.
And Liam, what has the ambulance service had to say?
Well, John, the ambulance service said the initial employment decisions was due to a range of factors, including resource constraints and also reduced turnover of existing paramedic staff. Now, the service has now told us, though, that it has offered more jobs to those who have been trained. They were contacted yesterday evening, but it still remains unclear as to how many more jobs this is. And the Welsh Government has said that it is committed that its investment into students leads to meaningful job opportunities in the services. And it said that it's pleased that the service is offering more roles in the future. But while those roles are welcome, it will still be a surprise to many paramedic graduates that they've not been able to put their skills and training in practice yet for those who most need it.
OK, Liam McConkey in Cardiff, thanks very much indeed. Now, traffic is one of life's frustrations, isn't it? But how often do you think about the environmental impact of sitting there with your engine running? Well, the Welsh Government wants your thoughts on how to tackle the pollution caused by idling engines, which could include introducing fines for drivers. Well, for more on this, Hamish Auskerry is in the centre of Cardiff. Hamish, what is this consultation all about then?
Well, John, the first thing to say is this is already an offence. Leaving your car idling whilst parked up on a public road can already net you a fine of £20. It's been like that since 2003. The Welsh Government simply say that isn't enough of a deterrent. And when you're here in the centre of Cardiff city centre, on Castle Street, people walk past this, which is monitors air quality. And Cardiff Council say the situation here, which has been serious in recent years, has improved dramatically since they brought in a cycle path on the far side of the road, and also the buses that come up and down here now are electric, but there is more work to do. And the Welsh Government say simply that what needs to be done is give local authorities the power to increase the level of fines up to a maximum of £100. And we've been here today asking people what they think of those proposals.
Well, it depends what I was doing, I guess. If I was going to leave it for a long time.
What, you're running into a shop?
Yeah.
And you just leave it on? Yeah, £100's a bit much. Any normal person does that, don't they, I suppose?
Well, if your car is left running and unoccupied, it's just like emitting CO2 for no reason, really, isn't it? So I think fining people would make sense if it stops people doing it, yeah.
I suppose it would be a deterrent in a way. Probably best though, isn't it, just to try and get cars off the road in the first place. Personally, that's what I think anyway.
I think, environmentally wise, it's a good idea to do it, so.
And apologies for the little interruptions there. A mixed range of views on the street, Hamish, but this appears to be quite a priority for Welsh Government.
Absolutely. Idling can often be a particular concern, for example, John, outside schools and hospital sites, for example, not just because of the emissions caused by the engines themselves, but also from the noise, which can be an issue in residential areas. You may see signs sometimes outside schools that say no idling. But the Welsh Government, under these proposals, which could come in as early as next August, would give local authorities the power to choose their own rates of fines, up between £50 up to £100. Of course, a big question from some local authorities may be how they are to enforce these to the level the Welsh Government clearly wants to in order to increase or decrease pollution across the country and improve air quality levels. And of course also what resources will be required for local authorities to do that. The closing date for the consultation is the end of next month. The Welsh Government says it wants to hear from both drivers and non-drivers. So if you have strong views on this subject, the Welsh Government says it wants to hear from you.
Hamish Auskerry in Cardiff, thanks very much indeed. Well, still to come, we'll have the latest weather. And we're on the mice, where today it's the turn of Welsh learners to take the stage at the Eisteddfod. Plus, the animal lovers who answered the call to help when Jane couldn't manage her animal sanctuary. For First Tonight, today marks 1 year since Eluned Morgan became the First Minister of Wales. With less than 12 months until the Senedd elections, she faces a tough period of leadership, with polls ranking Labour behind Reform and Plaid Cymru. So what's gone wrong, and how does she plan to turn things around? Here's our national correspondent, Rob Osborne.
It has been a bumpy 12 months for Eluned Morgan and for the Labour Party. She is responsible for what happens in Wales, but what her colleagues choose to do in London can also affect her electoral chances. The same is true of international events. It was a bumpy start, but she says she's now focused on delivering.
It was a challenging time to come in, but the first thing I did was to go out and listen to the people of Wales. They told me what their priorities were, and I've come back and made sure that I've kept to those priorities.
Her initial task was to heal a divided party after the resignation of Vaughan Gething. Then there's working with Labour in Westminster. She would say there's more money for public services and rail, but many remember the announcements and the U-turns on winter fuel and benefits. But a mentor says she has what it takes to turn things around.
She's established herself very successfully in speaking for the whole of Wales, north, south, east, west, rural and town, English-speaking, Welsh-speaking. That's very important.
Unsurprisingly, her political opponents think otherwise. Plaid Cymru calling her year a record of failure, and the Conservatives agree.
She has not been a success. I don't think there's any evidence to suggest that. The people's priorities are the NHS, but we've got the longest waiting list anywhere in the UK and rising in recent months. We've people's priorities being education, worst educational outcomes anywhere in the UK, 1 in 5 kids leaving school functionally illiterate, and the weakest economy anywhere in the UK. So on Eluned Morgan's own metrics, the people's priorities, she's failing.
Pontypridd is a Labour sort of town. It's got a Labour MP, a Labour Senedd member, and the party would like to keep it Labour at the Senedd election. That is Eluned Morgan's task. But when you speak to voters here, you realise she has a challenge on her hands.
It's disappointing.
Why is that?
Well, she follows the flow of what Starmer says, and, let's look to what Wales needs and what they should do for us.
So places like this, valleys, Labour heartlands, how are they going to perform in the next election, you reckon?
I don't think they have a chance, actually.
How do you think she's doing?
I think she might be doing okay, but I don't think the government is making it easy for the local areas.
What do you mean, the government in Westminster helping her in here?
Yeah.
Do you think she's well known enough?
I don't know if she's known enough. She probably is, but whether she does any good, I really couldn't say.
Have you heard of her?
Haven't got a thought yet.
Eluned Morgan may look back at the last year, but it's the next 9 months to election day which will be vital if she's to stay as First Minister.
And Rob is with me now. Rob, what do you think we can expect to see from the Labour Party between now and next May when the election happens?
It's 9 months and 1 day, I think, if my maths is terrible. Rubbish at GCSE. Look, things are either going to get better or worse. No Labour leader has, in Wales, ever been in this position where they are consistently now third. A threat from reform, yes, but also Plaid Cymru. And you'll have seen in that report there, the Palestinian flag being held behind Eluned Morgan in an interview. Another key issue for people who may vote Labour. That's why you've seen the rise of this Jeremy Corbyn-led party potentially in Wales. So that's another threat coming down the path. The other thing she has to do is unite her party. Remember, she came in after Vaughan Gething resigned. A lot of the cabinet members resigned, forced him out, effectively. And those divisions are still there. They're behind the scenes. You see them occasionally pop up in public. But she has to get a united party as they head into the election. She's on her third chief of staff in a year. She's only been there for a year. This is the thing happening behind the scenes. So it shows us a bit of turmoil. Now, the other thing out in Pontypridd today that I noticed, that I picked up on, you didn't quite hear it there in the Vox Pops, but a lot of people don't know who she is. You say Eluned Morgan, they say who? Say the First Minister, and they don't know who that is. She's up in an election where she will be facing Nigel Farage quite a lot of time, battling for publicity. This is not a minor minister, this is the First Minister.
So is there any hope when they gaze into the future?
Well, so Eluned Morgan, in that interview, sort of talked about more money for public services, want to improve delivery, more money for trains, you'll hear a lot of that, more money, she mentioned potholes a lot as well, I noticed. So if people see that their public services is getting better, then she hopes it'll turn around. But down the line, John, there's going to be a budget. Rachel Reeves is going to stand on her feet in a few months and announce, we suspect, some pain, maybe tax rises. That'll be just a few months, even shorter than 9 months and 1 day, for election in Wales. And is Labour going to suffer?
Interesting times. Rob, thanks very much indeed. You're watching Wales at 6. A reminder of tonight's top story. Parents have told this programme they're struggling to afford activities and extra meals over the school summer holidays. It means many families are turning to food banks for extra support. The Trussell Trust says more than 60,000 emergency parcels were distributed to children over the past year. It's calling for more to be done to support struggling families. And still to come on the ITV Evening News.
Coming up on the ITV Evening News, the man who murdered grandmother and mother of 6, Anita Rose, on her morning dog walk, sentenced to life in prison. How to combat the spike in phone theft, the new solution that's being trialled, and one of the most recognisable props in film history, the special piece of plastic that could fetch nearly £2 million at auction. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Well, time now to head to Wrexham, where it's Learners' Day at the Eisteddfod. This year, the event is celebrating record numbers of new learners in the local area. And Joanne Gallagher is on the mice for us. Joanne, some good news for the language then.
Absolutely, noswaith dda, good evening. Some fantastic news here on Maes D, which is the field for Welsh learners. We found out today that there's been a dramatic increase in the number of people who are taking Welsh courses, which is really great for the people that have been here today practicing. And the biggest rise has been right here in Wrexham. Welcome to Wrexham, where record numbers of people are taking up Welsh lessons. 640 completed a course last year. That's up to 82%. In part, they've been helped by social media sensation Dr Cymraeg, who's gone from learner to a Welsh language influencer.
Learning things are hard, but there is fun too. You can have fun doing it as well. And yes, 1 week might feel like, I can't do this, I don't want to do it again. But the next week, you'll find a joke in a book in Gymraeg and it will change the way you look at the language again. There is fun to be had, I promise.
Welsh Learners' Day here on the Maes will see someone crowned the best of the year. But whilst it draws a big crowd, there's more work to be done. The Welsh Government want 1 million Welsh speakers by 2050.
The latest figures show that around 850,000 people in Wales report that they use the language regularly. So, we're a long way to that target, but we've got a long way to go.
But can Welsh speakers sometimes be their own worst enemies? I know that you've been a learner and have spoken in the past about how you have faced criticism.
I hope we've moved beyond that. But Welsh learners do feel sometimes that they are judged by others. What you really need is Welsh speakers willing to stick with you.
Dwi'n dysgu Cymraeg ond dipyn bach. I'm learning Welsh, but only a little bit. But there are so many other people here on the Maes who are on the same journey and are already fluent.
To be able to speak Welsh in Wales in general, but especially in a place like this where you hear Welsh all around you, you feel part of a family.
And what would your advice be to people who are trying to dysgu Cymraeg?
Cadw ati, keep at it. It might take a long time. Some people have done it in 6 months. I took 15 years before I got my O-level. I'm not perfect, but who's perfect in English?
It's very phonetic, so you see something written and you can pronounce it, well, if you, hopefully.
Yeah, say every letter, every letter, yeah.
You can't learn from French to Welsh, so I have to learn from English to Welsh. But
there's certainly a lot of support for those on Maes D, the learning field, today. Well, today has all been about who is going to be crowned Welsh Learner of the Year. Well, drum roll please, because I have the winner, Lucy. Congratulations, llongyfarchiadau.
Diolch yn fawr iawn.
How are you feeling?
Well, absolutely over the moon. It's really weird having conversation in English because I've been doing so much in Welsh this week. It's really, really confusing, but it's just amazing. I'm so excited to be the winner. I never ever believed it would happen. Yeah, it's brilliant.
And this is your prize?
Yep, that it is, yeah. So, Gwobr Dysgwr y Flwyddyn, 2025. Mae'n anhygoel to do. Dwi'n mor falch.
Don't be keeping your bananas in that, will you? It's
I will
not
do my
fruitful.
best. No porridge, no...
You need to look after that. So tell us a little bit about yourself then. How did you get to win this award?
So I did... I got GCSE Welsh when I was 15, but I didn't use it. And when I became a teacher, I had to learn Welsh to help the children learn Welsh, because in Wales we have to teach Welsh to all the children. So after a few sessions, I thought, I really enjoy Welsh. This is really fun. So I went on a couple of courses to help me teach Welsh more sort of after school.
It's fantastic. You've done really well. And you're a local lady from this
am.
very area, living in Llangollen.
Yep.
Well done you.
Yeah. So I actually grew up here, about a mile away from here, so this is really exciting, yeah.
And what would your advice be for people
Go
learning?
for it. Just go for it. You get what you put in. So, Welsh is not an easy language to learn, but it's also a fun language if you put the time in, and just try.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Well, you're doing absolutely brilliant. I'm telling you, Lucy's better than me. All I know are the vegetables, and I've been learning for years. But you've just got to keep trying and keep going.
Joanne, God loves a trier. Thanks very much indeed. Now, the owner of a sanctuary in Carmarthenshire recently found herself at a loss after a serious health scare meant she could no longer care for her animals. Jane Baker founded Starfield Animal Sanctuary over a decade ago, and while she'd grown used to running it alone, people have come from far and wide to help run the place while Jane recovers. Well, we'll let Lewis Rhys-Jones tell us more.
90 kilos, Marvin.
It's time for the sheep's health checkup, and with a fair few to get through, owner Jane Baker is keen to keep a keen eye on the results. She's grown a sanctuary for 106 animals, all of which have always had her full devotion.
I do it just out of love. I've done it all on my own for all these years. I work full time to pay for everybody at night. And the more the merrier, I say.
But after being hospitalised following a heart attack, Jane was left worrying who would care for her trusty companions. That was until she witnessed the kindness of strangers.
People from actually all over the world have offered to come and help, which has been totally amazing. And I'm very overwhelmed by all the help I've actually had. It's just quite incredible. I never ever dreamed of it, and I've had to take a step back. I've always liked to do things on my own because that's the way I work with my animals. I surround myself with my animals. But it's been an absolute joy to have people here. And it's just changed my whole life.
The sanctuary aims to offer its animals a new lease of life, no matter the obstacles. Something the new volunteers love being a part of.
It's terribly rewarding, especially when you see Ellie here. She's going to have wheels in a few days to help her move along, and yeah, just to be able to help. The animals are amazing. They're all very intelligent and all very amazing. And they all know Jane, and Jane knows them all by name, and they all know their names. It's just incredible.
As you can imagine, on a farm, you've got 250 stock to look after, pushing 500 heads sometimes. You've got to move, whereas Jane will spend hours on one sheep, which is it's quite moving, and yeah, so it's quite touching the way she just spends time with the animals, and it's actually quite good for me because I'm planning to go on to be a vet.
While Jane takes time to recuperate, she's able to rest easy knowing that her beloved animals are being well looked after. Lewis Rhys-Jones, ITV News.
That's lovely to see. Weather time now. Here's Amanda Houston.
Today sees sunshine, sand and a spell of bamboo rafting. TUI sponsors ITV Cymru Wales weather.
Hello again. Hope you've all had a lovely day so far. So it's going to be a bit of a blip in the forecast as we go through tonight and into tomorrow. And that's because we've got low pressure to the north of us. What it's doing, it's allowing this front to work its way across the UK tonight and into tomorrow. That's going to bring some cloud and some rain for a time. But you can see it does move out of the way, and eventually high pressure expected to build back in across the south. And if things go to plan, we are expecting some fine conditions as we go through the weekend, and those temperatures once again will be back on the rise. Now in the meantime, for the rest of this evening, well, it's fairly quiet with some clear skies at the moment, but you can see as we edge later on in the night, cloud and outbreaks of rain. Some of that rain could be quite heavy in places, and those winds will start to strengthen too. And tonight we're looking at temperatures between 12 and 16 degrees. So a bit of a grotty start to Thursday, cloudy, blustery with some outbreaks of rain, but you can see that rain is going to push its way eastward. So hopefully the weather will perk up nicely, sunny spells, just one or two showers here and there. Winds are easing off as we go through the afternoon with highs there 22 degrees. 22 is 72 in Fahrenheit. Now, as I mentioned earlier, high pressure will continue to build as we go through Friday and into the weekend. And what that means is we're going to start to see the winds coming in from a more southerly direction, and that's going to bring up some much warmer air. So overall, plenty of sunshine as we go towards the weekend, and temperatures will be on the rise. 24 degrees on Sunday, could get even higher as we go into next week. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors ITV Cymru Wales weather.
Roll on the weekend. Well, thank you for joining us this Wednesday evening. I'll be back a little later with the headlines. Hope to see you then, but for now, from all the team, thanks for watching.